Good evening. Welcome again to the 8 p.m. quiz of the year 2023, part one. Hasn't it been a fabulous year? Hello, I'm still Gary, and here we are in front of an extremely pink background. I wasn't expecting it to be quite that pink when we looked at it. But there you go. Some of you have done this before. Some of you are new, so welcome. This is just like a pub quiz. And I'll say quickly hello to some of the regulars: John Avocado, Snarky Platypus, Jim's here, Bren's here, Ms. Cat's here, Dr. Ms. Cat's here, me and mine's here. It's all happening. So basically how this is going to work is for the next hour and a half or so, I'm going to ask you questions in a pub quiz style. There are 45 questions in all, 15 in each section. Parts 1, 2 and 3, 15 each, 15 equals 45. You will write down the answers on whatever is convenient to hand: pencil and paper, notepad, the wall of your cell, whatever it happens to be. And then at the breaks, at the end of every 15 questions, we'll run through the answers and let you know what's happening. Who else is here? Come on, people, turn up. I can't actually see the numbers on how many are there at the moment, so we'll just power through, won't we? I should stop being quite so keyed up, particularly as I did the thing you should never do before going live on video, is have a shave with the razor. Like, if you're going to do TV or something, make sure you shave well before, and then that'll give time for the makeup people to deal with it. Not that I have makeup people. Okay, I've told you how many questions there are. I'm going to tell you, don't put your answers in the chat unless it's really good, comedy, because that'll spoil it for everyone else. Write your answers down. We'll come back to them and we'll score them, mark them, judge them when we get to it. I also have to tell you that the game mechanics, when I talk to you, because it has to go up to YouTube and then down to you, and your little brain has to figure out what you're going to say that's really funny, and then you type that, and then it goes up to YouTube again and comes down to me, and I see it on my computer screen. That can take up to a minute. So if I don't respond immediately, it's not because I'm ignoring you, it's because an internet. I think that's all I need to tell you. Look for the 9 p.m. Edict in your podcast app of choice. I'll just say, write that down for later. I'll beg for money. If you normally go to a pub trivia night and spend, $10 on drinks, $10 on drink, like you'd have a drink. Stilgarian.com/tip. And that will help us go along. 1, 2, 3 minute. Don't give the answers in the chat. Don't cheat. There's no point looking up the answers. There's no prizes, and you're only cheating yourselves. So make yourself a drink. Chris Roberts, hi. You're a newbie here. Welcome. This is a bit silly. This one, because it's the quiz of the year, is about stuff that happened in 2023. I hope you've remembered everything that's going on, Chris. Every single thing. Okay. Part 1. 15 questions. The first 5 questions consist: round 1, the news round. Pencils ready. Write down the following answers. Question 1. How old is Donald Trump? How old? I want the exact year. It's an integer. I'll give you a clue. The first digit is 7. How old is Donald Trump? Question 2. This one's going to be a lot harder, but there's 4 points in it. Name the premiers at time of broadcast of the following Australian states. There'll be 1 point each: New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, and Western Australia. They're the only states that that matter, really. You know that. Name the premiers of those 4 states: New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, and Western Australia. Some of them have changed this year. Some of them haven't. So in the order, I want both the given names and I'll give you half when we get to the scoring. I'll give you half a point each for the surnames. But Chris, no, don't read that line. That's the answer. New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, and Western Australia. This is a professional thing. I blame the pinkness. It's putting me off. It's very Barbie-esque, isn't it? That was question 2. Question 3. The 2023 war between Israel and Hamas began on what date? I know it's not been a fun year. It's hard to make fun questions about a war. There's only I'm not going to buy into that. If you haven't listened to it yet, I did record a fantastic podcast with John Birmingham the other day. Look for the 9 p.m. Edict in your podcast app. We agreed beforehand we were not going to talk about the war because, as JB put it, people go mad. People just go mad talking about it. And rightly so. You know, war's not a lot of fun. But what date did it start? And that is question 3. Question 4. Optus. Optus, telecommunications company Optus in Australia, suffered a major outage a few weeks ago. So there's 3 questions here. This is all question 4 though. What is Optus's parent company? Who was the chief executive officer in Australia at the time Optus had these problems? What is their name? They're no longer there, surprisingly enough. And what year was Optus created? It was the first, not Telstra/Telecom Australia, the first private, not part of the thing, telecommunications carrier provider in Australia once it all got deregulated. So the 3 parts of question 4, what is Optus's parent company? Who was the chief executive officer at the time it all fell apart? And what year was Optus created? Give you a clue, starts with a 19. Glenn Valance, hi there. I can tell you now, it wasn't Queen Gladys as Premier of New South Wales today. Not today. And question 5 is our first picture question. Let's see whether I've put all these sub-windows on the screen where I need them to be. I have. 3 points available here. Here are 3 people who've been in the news this year. I would like their names, please. You probably get half a point for, close enough. We know who you mean. As I say with this quiz, you're the one scoring. When we go through the scores, you can ask me questions about how you think it should be scored. But when we get back to it, it's really you. You're the one writing down the answers. You know in your heart, in your soul, whether you got it right or wrong. So here are 3 people who've been in the news this year. I've got a whiskey and soda, by the way. Hope you've got something nice. This is Old Forester bourbon from the America. I don't know. I've started drinking more bourbon lately, American whiskey, than Scotch, for no particular... Well, I know why it is. It's because I decide to make, an old-fashioned occasionally or something like that. And you don't want to make an old-fashioned with a Scotch whiskey. Or a Japanese whiskey for that, but it's got to be a bourbon. It's got to be an American whiskey. It's got to be a rye whiskey. Question 5, who are those people in the picture? And that brings to an end the news round. Now up to the next round, which is 5 questions on a special subject of my choice. And my subject of choice this year is elections. How you doing there, kids? Going all right? Elections. Okay, question 6. Australia had a referendum this year. It was about the Indigenous voice to Parliament. It didn't happen. You know that. But the previous referendum, when was the previous, like the one before, when was that referendum in Australia? What year? And what was it about? So what year was the immediately preceding referendum? And what was it about? Why did we have that referendum? That's question 6. Question 7, 2024, that's next year. It's coming up, just a few days. It's going to be a really big year around the world for elections. So, which of the following countries will be having national elections? I'm going to give you 5 country names. You just have to say yes, no, yes, no, 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 yes, no, yes, yes, no, no, yes for them. Are they having national elections in 2024? Now, by that, I mean a presidential election, an election for national parliament, but not local elections or provincial or state elections. Okay, so it's got to be for president or for the national parliament, at least one house or whatever it is. So the 5 countries I'm going to tell you, excuse me again, are Egypt, Indonesia, Russia, Thailand, and the United States. So you just got to write down yes or no for each one. Egypt, Indonesia, Russia, Thailand, or the United States. So there's a few state elections in Australia. The UK will probably have an election. I didn't ask about that because that's one of those date things that they could trigger early. But the 5 we're looking at in this question are Egypt, Indonesia, Russia, Thailand, and the United States. And to be clear, Jim Campbell, elections for king don't count because that's not how kings work. That's question 7, dear viewer. Question 8. Okay, this is an easy one. How many members are there in the Australian House of Representatives? Come on. If you're in Australia, you vote every election. How many members are there in the Australian House of Representatives? And if you're clever, when we get to part 2 of this quiz will be Thursday week on the 28th. Imagine the kind of question that I could do to balance out this one in part 2. Question 8, how many members are there in the Australian House of Representatives? Come on, you either know it or you don't, or you can guess, but I want the actual number. Clue, it's an integer, it's more than 100, it's less than 6,000. There you go, that's question 8. Question 9, in what year was Australia's first federal election? Yeah? Australia was a bunch of colonies, and then they federated to become the Commonwealth of Australia, and then they had an election for its first parliament. What year did that occur in? And that was question 9. And question 10, how tall is Anthony Green? Anthony Green, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation's long-running election analyst. I am pleased to count him, I won't say as a friend, but certainly as an acquaintance, and we run into each other from time to time and have a coffee, or if we're elsewhere, have a quiet drink. Every Australian has seen Anthony Green on the television. How tall is he? And my source for this is Anthony Green himself. So, you know, there he is. That's the election result is in. That's so terrible, isn't it? I like the tie though. Anyway, how tall is Anthony Green? That is question 10. Back with you. We are 2/3 of the way through the first part. The next round is geekery. I know for a fact that the vast majority of people who follow me on the socials or listen to my podcast, the 9 p.m. Edict in your favourite podcast app, or do this quiz, you're nerds. You're nerds. So, question 11. In June, a submersible, that is a thing that goes under the water, was on its way to explore the wreck of the Titanic in the Atlantic Ocean, and it imploded. Actually, I shouldn't do that because people died. What was the name of the submersible? That's question 11. What was the name of that submersible? And kind of when you look back at it, you'll think, yeah, of course they called it that. Oh, I'm seeing some, where we are, that on the screen. No, over a bit. It's gone a bit. I'll see if I can fix that. Whoa! Whoa! No, I can't. No. Okay, that's my fault. I shouldn't have worn a black t-shirt, black shirt, but I did because the other shirt I was planning on wearing was a tropical shirt. It turned out to have some little green bits on it, and that looked even worse. I'm doing it all with software in the browser. Question 11, what was the name of the submersible that imploded in June? Question 12, Elon Musk. Yeah, I'm sorry. You knew there was going to be a question about Elon Musk. Well, this question is about Elon Musk creating, or at least people he knows created, an AI chatbot, which is trained, amongst other things, on tweets, or whatever we call things now that it's called excrements, I think is the one. So 2 questions here. What is the name of Elon Musk's chatbot? And the second part, who invented that word? Elon Musk named it something quite specific, but it's a word that he didn't invent. Someone else invented it. Who invented that word? It's very nerdy. That's question 12. What's the name of Elon Musk's chatbot and who invented that word? Question 13. According to the United States Food and Drug Administration, what is the recommended maximum daily allowance of caffeine? Some of you... questions back to Dr. Cat, metric or imperial, I assume that's for the height of Anthony Green. I have both numbers, however you want to write it down. I will judge your answer. Yep, Shannon, we're talking about space, Karen. I'm not saying that, Wolfcat. But question 13. According to the US Food and Drug Administration, what is the recommended maximum daily allowance of caffeine for a healthy adult? If you listen to the podcast with me and John Birmingham, you will already know the answer to this, and it's about lemonade. That's all I'm telling you. Question 13, what's the recommended maximum daily allowance of caffeine for a healthy adult? Question 14. How many countries have successfully sent missions to the moon? The moon. The moon. The moon. How many countries have done it? And for 1 point, name them. You need to get all of them right, and you get 1 point for naming them. It's not a lot. It's kind of easy, this one, I think, if you're a nerd. Question 14, how many countries have successfully sent missions to the moon? And name those countries. And question 15 is the famous critter question. Each episode of the quiz, I choose a critter. You have to name the critter. And since I'm in nerd mode here, here's the critter. What's that? That's cruel, isn't it? Glenn Valance has asked whether the missions to the moon are manned missions or missions. Missions, not crude. Sorry, crude missions, not manned missions. Any kind of missions. We know the one for crude missions. It's one, the America, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin and Mr. Young, who's his name escapes me. Michael Young. No, unless you've watched the the Apple TV Plus series For All Mankind, in which case North Korea's gone to Mars. Oh, that's Mars, not the moon, but was it the moon? I can't fucking remember. Mars, the moon, they're all the same. So yeah. For question 14, missions of any kind to the moon, there've only been a few nations that sent them. Yeah, how many and who are they? And question 15, who is that on your screen? Michael Collins, thank you. Yes, thank you, Bren. I should have known that. I was such a space nerd as a kid. Alrighty, let's roll back to the start of part 1 and be ready to understand what the actual answers are. Where are we up to in time? We're running a bit late, so let's move on. How old is Donald Trump? 1 point for this. He is 77 years old. He was born on the 14th of June 1946. Donald Trump is 77 years old. 1 point. Question 2. Name the premiers of the Australian states. I will give you the point if you have both their given name and surname. You'll get half a point if you only have one of those things, okay? You understand how this works? I know some of you are not too bright, but here we go. Okay, New South Wales, it is Chris Minns. Chris Minns. Victoria, it is Jacinta Allen. Jacinta Allen. For Queensland, it is Stephen Miles. I will accept Steve, Stephen, and Miles. Stephen Miles. And for Western Australia, it is Roger Cook. That is Roger Cook. Okay? Question 3. The war between Israel and Hamas began on for a point, the 7th of October. Just to be clear, the previous question, question 2, there's 4 points up for grabs there. Question 3, 7th of October. That's 1 point. Question 4, Optus. Okay, there's 3 points up for grabs here. Optus's parent company is Singapore Telecommunications Limited. I will accept Singtel because that's what they call themselves even as a trade name. So Singtel for a point. The CEO at the time was Kelly Bayer Rosmarin. I'll accept half a point for Kelly, but Kelly Bayer Rosmarin is the name you're after for the full point. And Optus was created in the year 1981 for the 3rd point for that question. So to run through that again for question 4, it is Singtel, or ideally Singapore Telecommunications Limited, if you're being a smartass. Kelly Bayer Rosmarin, half a point for Kelly, and 1981. Hi Oberon's Ghost, glad you could join us. We're just wrapping up the answers for part 1. And question 5, who are these people? Well, on the left, that is His Excellency Dr. Sultan Ahmed Al-Jaber. I will accept for half a point some Saudi bloke, or actually not, he's Emirati, isn't he? Or is he? I can never remember. I will accept for half a point the bloke who ran COP28, the climate change conference. But to get the full point, I want to hear Ahmed Al-Jaber. Okay. In the middle, that is the Chief Executive Officer of X. That is Linda Yaccarino. I will accept half a point if you got Linda, half a point for the poor muppet who's running Elon Musk's stupid social media fucking site, or something along those lines. Like, you basically get a half a point if you kind of knew where she fits into the grand scheme of things, but that is Linda Yaccarino. What a thankless fucking job that would be. And on the right, no snarky platypus, you don't get a point for a generic white man. I'm just thinking ahead here. That is Australia's Health Minister, Mark Butler. I want Mark Butler for the point. I'll give you half a point for Health Minister. Do you want to do quarter of points? Quarter of a point for an Australian government minister. There you go. So, Sultan Ahmed Al-Jaber, Linda Yaccarino, and Mark Butler. And yes, Jim, Linda Yaccarino's smile is very frozen on her fucking face there. So I hope you're all counting your points up here. Now we go on to the next one, the subject round on elections. Okay, the referendum, the previous one, was in 1999. Time to party, Guru Josh. 1 point for that. 1 point for 1999. And there were actually two things in the 1999 referendum, so you'll get a point for each of them if you got them. One was whether Australia would become a republic. Oh, hang on that camera. Sorry. One of them was whether Australia would become a republic, and the other one was whether there would be a preamble to the Constitution which waffled on about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness or some bullshit. Probably two up on Anzac Day and I don't know. So the 3 points are 1999, the Republic, and the preamble to the Constitution. That's question 6. Question 7, which of the following countries are having elections, national elections next year? The countries were Egypt, Indonesia, Russia, Thailand, the US. The answers you want to have written down, 1 point each, were no, yes, yes, no, yes. No to Egypt, yes to Indonesia, yes to Russia, no to Thailand, and yes to the United States. No, Ms. Cat, 2018 was not a referendum. If you're talking about, God, what was that back then? It was the plebiscite about same-sex marriage, wasn't it? No, it wasn't a referendum. It was just a survey by the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Nothing in the Constitution was changed as a result. Well, it wasn't anyway. So no, you do not get a point for 2018. That is literally the point of the question. Sorry, for question 7, you wanted no, yes, yes, no, yes. 5 points up for grabs. Question 8, members of the Australian House of Representatives, there are 151. You either had it or you didn't. For the point, it's 151. Question 9, what year was Australia's first federal election? Straight out of the gate, 1901. Same year it was declared in Britain. So 1901, that wasn't a trick question. Yes, Bren, the countries having 2024 elections are indeed 1 point each. So 5 up for grabs there. I'm a generous person. And question 10, I'll put him up again because this is just such a silly photograph. Where is it? There it is. Anthony Green. How tall is Anthony Green? The answer is 163 centipedes, or if you use old measure, 5'4". So 163 centimetres or 5'4". If you got within 1 centimetre, I'll give you half a point. If you got within half an inch, I'll give you half a point. But Anthony Green is 163 centipedes tall or 5'4". And now racing through the geekery section. Question 11, the submersible was called Titan to go down and visit the Titanic. So 1 point for Titan. Question 12, Elon Musk. His chatbot is called Grok, G-R-O-K, so a point for that. And you also get a point who invented the word grok. It was Robert A. Heinlein, the science fiction author. You get a point for Robert A. Heinlein. It was indeed in his 1961 novel, Stranger in a Strange Land. The Oxford English Dictionary has its gloss for the word grok is to understand intuitively or by empathy, to establish rapport with, and to empathise or communicate sympathetically with. Various people have said Heinlein had a far more nuanced view of it, but the grok is just to innately understand something. So the fact that Elon Musk is using that to describe a chatbot trained on tweets. Anyway, you get a point for grok and you get a point for Robert A. Heinlein. That's question 12. Question 13. According to the US Food and Drug, caffeine, 400 milligrams per day. 400 milligrams per day for a healthy adult of caffeine. Want the 400? You know if you got it, you know if you didn't. Question 14. How many countries have successfully sent missions to the moon? Well, here's the answer. It's 4 of them. So you get a point for 4, and you get a point for naming the 4. So you get a point for saying there's 4. This is more confusing than I thought it would be. And you get a point for saying the Soviet Union, the US, China, and India. So if you don't have that cluster of 4 nations, you haven't got the second point. India did it this year with a successful lander. They had an impactor. They had problems. But that's the chart. That's the one. No correspondence will be entered into. 1 point for 4. 1 point for naming the Soviet Union. I'll allow Russia, US, China, and India. And the last in part 1, the critter question. That's Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon and stuff. And his spaceships and all those things. So 1 point there for Jeff Bezos. Now, dear listener, dear viewer, what you are doing at this point is you are going through your totals there, you're adding them up. There's a possible 30 points for part 1. Do feel free to put your total into the chat. Meanwhile, I'll tell you, stilgherrian.com/tip, that's a thing. You can put that in your browser tab now. You don't have to do anything with it until later. Decide whether you enjoyed this or not. Some of you are probably enjoying it. I mean, you're still there. But let me know how you went out of 30. I'm just listening to the rain outside. You can't hear it, but it is raining outside. And I'm just going to check what the rain parrot says. Oh, yeah. The storm is hitting. There you go. Okay, how you going? Gary McKenzie, 11 out of 30. Shane O'Neill, 15. John Avocado, 17. Dr. Muzcat got Jeff Bezos' head right. There you go. It's a distinctive head, isn't it? For those of you joining us for the first time, getting even half a score in this quiz is considered good. This is a tough quiz. I've often asked whether people want me to make it easier, and they just say, no, make it hard. So I'm happy to make it hard for you. So Harada Syme, 11.5. Jim Campbell, 11.5. Me and mine, 13. So close on some, but I don't know. That's the thing. So close is not the answer, is it? Who else is there? Look, lovely work. Chris Roberts, 12.75. I'm loving this. We'll go down to quarter points more often. Okay, while you're putting your totals in the score, I'm going to launch into part 2. And the next round is the media. And I have a fairly broad idea of what the media is. The media is books, television, films, radio, I said television, sport, stuff. Okay, let's go. Let's go. I don't know why I paused then. I just had a brain fade. Okay. Question 16. You ready? There's 3 points here. Who won the Oscar for Best Actor, Who won the Oscar for Best Actress? I'm sorry, they're the terms they use. And for the third point, only one woman has ever won Best Actress 4 times. Who was that? So, question 16. Who won the Oscar for Best Actor? Which happened this year, but it's for films that came out in 2022. So remember that. The films were released in 2022, and then they have the Oscars and the judging process, right? So it's the 95th or 4th or 5th or something else. Anyway, it's films that came out in 2022, but the Oscars were in 2023. Who was the Best Actor? Who was the Best Actress? And throughout the history of the Oscars, who's the only woman who's won Best Actress 4 times? 4 times. 4. That's question 16. Question 17. Where was the World Netball Cup held? And who won? There's 2 points there. Where was the World Netball Cup held? And who won? That, dear viewer, is question 17. Question 18. Bit of online media here. Which former professional kickboxer and self-proclaimed alpha male was arrested on a whole bunch of charges, including rape and human trafficking? And in which country was he arrested? Of course it was a he. So, a lot of news about this prick. What's his name and in what country was he arrested? He's a kickboxer, he's an alpha male, he's a toxic male influencer, human trafficker, I should say allegedly a rapist. What's his name and in what country was he arrested? No, I'm not putting up a photograph. Question 19. Speaking of arseholes, which famous Australian entertainer, known for both racist, homophobic and anti-trans comments and performing in drag, died in April this year? Excuse me while I cough. This is question 19. Which famous Australian entertainer, known for racist, homophobic and anti-trans comments, but who also performed in drag, died in April this year? There's only a point there. They're barely worth that much. You got time to write all this down? Okay. No, the slap in the Oscars was the year before. We did that question. I saw that we did that question. I didn't do the slap, but I did who won it. Yeah, question 19. Yeah, I'm going to go over here and go question 20. Question 20. Oh, I didn't go over to the other thing. Question 20. Picture question. Who are those people? All in the news this year. Turns out all of those in that image are women. So names please, 3 points up for grabs here. Who are those people? This is the media round. I mean, I want to give you enough time to have a bit of a think about who they are. But I also can't think of much to say. I mean, I've told you to listen to my podcast. I've told you to send me money. What else can I tell you? Oh, that's it for now. If you had enough time for those, look, I think we have. I think we can go on to the next question. The next round is world affairs. So the 5 questions here. Again, newcomers to this quiz, I need to warn you that I think Australians need to know a lot more about the world around them. And so I do tend to bias some of the questions to our region, to the world in general, and so on. Snarky Platypus, I'm going to be very interested to know who knows that woman on the far left. Let's put her up again. Yeah, that's going to be quite the thing, isn't it? Okay, question 21. The United Kingdom has, of course, adopted Tony Abbott's famous slogan, "Stop the boats! Stop the boats!" Now, while Australia had the Pacific solution, they thought about that, for locking up asylum keepers, where does the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland want to send its asylum seekers? And it's going through a whole legal process now because the country in question isn't so sure and wants something. So, which country does the United Kingdom want to send its asylum seekers to? There's a point there. Question 22. Where would you find, and I want to get this right, a Hwasong 12, a KN24, or a Pukoksong 3? Where would you find them? Hwasong 12, KN24, or a Pukoksong 3? Where would you find them? There's a point in it. You either know or you don't. Question 23. Now, this is an interesting one. I quite like this question. How many publicly listed companies in the world have a market capitalization of more than $1 trillion US? It's more than one. I'll tell you, Apple is one of them, and they're at the top of the list. As of a few hours ago, I know these figures change all the time. I looked them up today. There's a certain number of publicly listed companies that are valued at more than $1 trillion US. For 1 point, how many are there? And for the second point, how many of those $1 trillion companies are not what you'd call a tech company? Okay, so as of today, how many $1 trillion companies and how many of them are not tech? It's an interesting question. Okay, that's question 23. Question 24. Whoa, 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 whoa. No one saw that. Question 24 is some Vladimir Putin trivia. There's Vladimir Putin, president of the Russia. There's... This is terrible. I've got 4 questions for you here about Vladimir Putin, and that means... No, 5 questions, and that means there's 5 points up for grabs. And while I'm asking those questions, you are going to look at that photograph of Vlad having a bit of a chill. Okay, first one, where was he born? Where was Vlad born? That's A. Call it 24A. 24B, how old is he? 24C, what rank did he finally hold in the KGB? He was, of course, a KGB officer. He'd been seen in New Zealand at the time of the Rainbow Warrior incident. He'd been seen in Red Square pretending to be just a Russian civilian when I think it was... Oh, which American president visiting? I think it was Ronald Reagan. And he was just there with a woman and they were just pretending to be, you know, just a Russian couple out for a walk in Red Square. So that's C, what rank in the KGB? Part D, in the 2018 presidential elections, what percentage of the vote did he receive? And I want it within 3 percentage points. In the 2018 Russian presidential elections, what percentage of the vote did Vladimir Putin receive? To within 3 percentage points. And E, what year was that photo released? Yeah, what year? What year was that photo released? It's not the one with the bear. Well, the one with the bear was made up. There's the one where he's on a horse. There's the one where he was fishing. But to run through the 5 again, because I mean, there's 5 points up for grabs here, and you know, you really do need to know that. So A, where was Vlad born? B, how old is he now, not when the photo was taken. C, what rank did he hold in the KGB? D, what percentage of the votes did he receive in the presidential elections, the last ones, 2018? And E, what year was that photograph released? And we'll go straight on to question 25. No, oh, fuck. Question 25. Oh, dear. Picture round, picture round. Here are three people. Who are they? I want their names, please. Half a point if you know kind of their role, but I want their names. And while you're looking at that, I'm going to go quiet for a moment because I really need to take a piss. And, you know, don't stress. I'll be over the other side of the... Oh, fuck, run into the green screen. I should probably turn the microphone off for this bit. Okay, coming back now. It's all good. It's all lovely. Okay, I'm back. Hope everyone's having fun. Just putting my earpiece in. Yeah, I did actually get a little video to put up as a drinks break, but I didn't quite make it. I'm getting old. Okay, 25, question 25 is who are those three people? Back with you. Bren is noting that Putin is supposedly 167 centipedes tall, which explains a few things. And that is actually true, or about that. And if you look at some of the photo analysis of images of Putin with his generals, they often use forced perspective to make him look taller, put him closer to the camera, that sort of thing. It's really quite funny. Put him on a stool like they do with Tom Cruise. Nothing wrong with being shorter. It's just that if your whole psychology is about, oh, I'm taller and tougher, stupid people. Okay, that was question 25. And now it's time for the infamous platypus round. So if you're watching, Snarky Platypus is in the chat. You can blame him for these questions. Jim Campbell said should have turned the mic off. Well, I turned off one mic. I turned on the other one so I could shout across the room. Whoa! Something happened down there. So the platypus round. Snarky Platypus has written 5 questions, and they're always really, really difficult. But before I get to that, I wanted to put up a graphic to, represent Snarky Platypus, because he doesn't like photos of himself on the line. He's keeping his online persona and his professional persona very, very, very different. Oh, hi, Mick Fong. 4 inches on Putin. They write these jokes write themselves, don't they? So I thought I would ask one of the AI image things to create an image of a platypus as a quizmaster. Now, I say this against the background that Mid-Journey can't draw fucking platypus. I again asked today Mid-Journey to draw a platypus sitting by a secluded riverbank in the Australian bush, and that's what it came up with. Now, I don't know what the fuck that is, but Mid-Journey thinks that's a platypus. But I thought I'd persist, and I asked for a platypus quizmaster, a platypus TV quizmaster, and I got that. I got several, but that's the one whose beak/bill is closest to a platypus. I mean, they're terrible. I then asked for one with a bit more of a modern background. None of these are even remotely platypusy. I mean, I like the top hat. I like the neon background, but, you know, are they a badger or an otter? I mean, look at some of these things. Like the one on the bottom right there. It's some sort of fucking duck critter, right? Or something. So, you know, I persisted. It still didn't get any better. I mean, what even are these things? So I thought I'd put in Snarky Platypus's avatar, which is a picture of a platypus in a stream, as a seed image. And, like, what is this? The one on top right is a seal, kind of. What are those? I mean, what is the bottom right's a fucking hippopotamus? What are these things? Now, I persisted. I got this. I don't know where you start. Then I thought, Dali knows what a platypus looks like. So I asked Dali to create a TV quizmaster. And when I do this, Dali always goes cartoony. I've done this before. So it came up with them. And I thought, yeah, I like trivia with two V's. That's good. And I like what it says in the one on the list. Oppo Vive 7K Po Vids Po Wes whatever. I mean, look at those tails. I don't even know what those things are. So I said, no, a television presenter. And it came up with these. I mean, apart from the fact, again, they're not really platypus, are they? It starts to understand what a TV quiz might be like. And then this one came up. And I thought, well, that's kind of the best of them so far. And then I came up with the idea of, well, what if I take this image from Dali and feed it back into Midjourney to create a television presenter? And Midjourney came back with this. Now, don't ask me what the fuck is going on here. What is this? Somehow, I think Midjourney associates platypus bill with beak because it's doing it visually, which relates to birds and then whatever. And I really don't know what's going on there. That's the thing. But this is the platypus round, or as we now call it, Tilat Wuyutata Man. And here we are with the platypus round. So these are 5 questions and they are long and hard. I'm so sorry. Question 25. He's in the chat. If you've got complaints, send them through to him. No, question 26. Sorry for the confusion. Question 26. In February of this year, researchers captured a live platypus. Yes, all the news is platypus news for 2023 this time. It won't be in the next episode because I'll fucking hit him if it is. In February this year, researchers captured a live platypus in a Sydney urban creek. And that confirmed that platypus do live in urban Sydney waterways. It's the first time this century that a platypus has been found in a Sydney waterway. So, what's the question? Oh, yeah. Question 1, where? Where? Which part of Sydney was this platypus found in? There's 3 points up here. Where in Sydney? Another point, more specifically, where in that part of Sydney? And apart from this one, in what year was the last platypus found in urban Sydney? And I've given you a clue already. It was not this century. I'm running out of bourbon. I need a production assistant to bring me more bourbon. Okay, so question 26. In what area was this platypus found? More specifically, where? And what year was the last time a platypus had been found in Sydney? Question 27. Earlier this year, a bloke boarded a train bound for Caboolture in Brisbane, and he'd found a platypus and he showed it off to the other passengers. Where did he board that train bound for Caboolture? What is the maximum... Oh, no. The Queensland Police Minister, Mark Ryan, gave the platypus a name. What was that name? And what is the maximum fine for taking a platypus from the wild as stipulated by Queensland's Nature Conservation Act? To the nearest $10,000 is fine. Okay, this is question 27. Where did the bloke get on the train? It was going to Caboolture. What name did the police minister give to the platypus? I'll give you a clue. It's fucking lame. And what's the fine? The maximum fine for taking a platypus from the wild in Queensland. That, if you can believe it, is question 27. Although I like Wolf Coughlin's one, which master chef cooked it for the Challenger round? No, don't cook and eat platypus. Okay, the platypus is saying for the first part, which area of Sydney, which local government area? I mean, fine. I reckon we can be fairly generous in judging these questions because these are really hard questions. Okay, question 28. Long and hard. In May, a project team from the New South Wales National Parks and Wildlife Service, Taronga Conservation Society and an Australian university and World Wildlife Fund Australia reintroduced some platypus back into the Royal National Park, which is just south of Sydney, okay? There haven't been platypus in that area for 50 years. So they introduced some. Three more points here. Which university collaborated with all of these people in New South Wales? How many platypus were released? And what was the gender split of those platypus? So a clue there, the third part, the numbers that you have to add up to the number in the previous bit. So which university was involved? How many platypus were released? And what was their gender split? Sounds uncomfortable, but there you go. Platypuses are a bit binary, apparently, with their gender. They don't think about it a lot. They just have their bits and they just get on with it because they're platypus. That's question 28. Question 29. In October, a woman in Tasmania called Jenny Forward decided that a platypus she saw needed rescuing, so she picked it up and she got stung by it through the barbs. Yeah, she was really sick because platypus venom is resistant to most pain relief / analgesia, which is a fancy way of saying pain relief, including opiates. You can have as many opiates as you like, but the platypus sting will still hurt like all fuck. You won't care because you're off your fucking face on opiates. Oh, hang on, have I labelled this video over 15? Anyway, two bits here to question 29. There is a class of drug which will help with the pain. What is that class of drug? And should you really need to pick up a platypus, how do you do it? What is the, I don't know, recommended way to pick up a platypus, but what class of drugs do you, I was about to say, what class of drugs do you want? That's another whole question, isn't it? What class of drugs will deal with the pain, and how do you pick up a platypus? That's question 29. And question 30, you'll be pleased to know this is the last question in the Platypus round and the last question in part 2. Sneakers retailer Platypus Shoes has reached a milestone this year. Only last month in November 2023. What milestone has Platypus Shoes reached in relation to their retail presence in Australia and New Zealand? There you go. Platypus Shoes. They're not even sponsoring this. This is bullshit. Okay, are you ready? We're going to go all the way back to the front of part 2. I fucked some of this up, didn't I? And showed you the answers very briefly if you were paying attention. Okay, we're going back now to question 16, all right? What time is it? Oh, got to move on. Got to fucking move on. Question 16, the media question. 16 is 3 points here. Who won Best Actor? Joaquin Phoenix. Best Actress, Michelle Yeoh. And the woman who won Best Actress 4 times is Katharine Hepburn for 1934, 1968, 1969 and 1982. She got 12 nominations, won 4 of them. That's a record. That's more than 5 more at least nominations than I've had for Best Actress. So your 3 points are Joaquin Phoenix, Michelle Yeoh and Katharine Hepburn. 3 points there. Question 17, where was the World Netball Cup held? The answer is Cape Town in South Africa. I'll give you 1 point for Cape Town, South Africa, half a point for South Africa. And who won? Australia. Australia won it. Yay. Australia. That's 2 points there. The World Netball Cup. Question 18. The arsehole was Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is his name. Romania was where he was arrested. Andrew Tate and Romania, 2 points there for being terribly online and knowing who that prick was. Question 19. The entertainer who died in April this year was Barry Humphries. His famous character, of course, was Dame Edna Average, so even though his most famous creation was a drag act, he was homophobic and racist and anti-trans. Anyway, a point for Barry Humphries. I also note that they held a memorial service for him only last week, and he died in April. So I hope they had a fridge. Point for Barry Humphries. And number 20, who are these people? Right, points here. 3 points available. On the left, that is Doja Cat, who earned her first #1 in Australia with Paint the Town Red. It spent 10 weeks atop the charts. That's Doja Cat on the left. In the middle, that is Maggie Beer, famous chutney maker and serial killer from the Barossa Valley. Just look at her. And on the right, that is journalist Lisa Wilkinson. There's a thing here. John Avocado is saying Brendan Fraser won Best Actor. I'm now going to check that. Academy Awards 2023, 45th. I just got to wait for it to turn up here on the thing. I take all that back. No. It's been correct. Sorry, my mistake. Brendan Fraser was the actor in a leading role. Brendan Fraser in The Whale. Actress Michelle Yeoh in Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm terribly, terribly sorry. I don't know why that other man's name was in my list. I'm very sorry. I'm so sorry. Anyway, that's Doja Cat on the left. I've just lost my script. Thanks, avocado. There's my script. What's it doing over there? Oh, I know why it's over there. Doja Cat on the left. This is so professional. In the middle, that is Maggie Beer, and on the right, that is Lisa Wilkinson, who is, of course, in the news a lot lately because she was the journalist who did the story about Brittany Higgins and about the alleged rape in Parliament House and the whole thing's whatever. So she's been in the news a lot recently. Okay, on to the world affairs. Question 21. Stop the boats. The country is Rwanda. Point there. Question Rwanda, by the way, if you just kind of had a brain fade at that moment. What the fuck is going on my screen here? Oh, I see why. Sorry, I just had to pop over and look that other thing up, and I have confused where things are on my screen, and there are things I need to look at while I'm doing this. So hang in there. Chat amongst yourselves. Nearly there. Just sorting this out. Here we go. Sorry about that, folks. Question 21, question 22. Where would you find a Hwasong 12, a KN 24, or a Bukosong 3? You would find them in North Korea because they are all types of North Korean ballistic missile. I will also accept for a test thing, but North Korea for a point or Sea of Japan for also a point. Question 23. Okay, if you were really good, you would have seen this on the screen. How many publicly listed companies with a market cap of more than $1 trillion? The answer is 6. So you get a point for saying 6, and there they are. Apple, Microsoft, Saudi Aramco, which is the Saudi oil company, Alphabet, which is Google, Amazon, which is the critter from earlier, and NVIDIA, who make graphics processors, and because of the rise of AI, which does a lot of that same kind of calculation, they have been making squillions of dollars. So they're the 6 with a valuation over $1 trillion. So for 1 point, you needed the answer 6. For the second point, there is only one there that is not a traditional tech company in that 6, and that is Saudi Aramco. So 1 gets you another point. So the two answers are 6 and 1. Half a point for South Korea, Chris Roberts? No, none of those missiles have impacted South Korea. They're either in North Korea or they're in the ocean. No. Nice try. I'll give you 1/4 of a point. How's that? Okay, that's... have you had enough with the questions? Let's move on to our shirtless mate, Vlad. And there's 5 points up for grabs here. And they are in order. A, Leningrad, which is now St. Petersburg. I will accept either St. Petersburg or Leningrad. It was Leningrad when he was born. It was St. Petersburg now. B, he's 71 years old. He was born on the 7th of October 1952. He's aged 71 for a point. C, he reached the rank of colonel in the KGB. You get a point for colonel. D was, here you go, electoral results for the 2018 presidential election. Vladimir Putin got 76.69% of the vote for president. I said within 3 percentage points. So the numbers I want to hear from you to get the point has to be between 63.7, 63.6 call it, and 79.6. This is very confusing, but to get that point, your answer needs to be between 73.6 and 79.7. See, he didn't win all the votes. Question 22 back there. Oh no, you've got that. That was North Korea. Or 1 point for Sea of Japan. Fuck, I scrolled. I shouldn't have scrolled. Oh, and the last thing about Vlad there was which I've lost this. Come on, fucking hell. Which year was that photo taken? This magnificent photo. The answer is 2017, or it was released. That was it. 2017. Jim Campbell wants to say Lieutenant Colonel. Vlad's rank in the KGB. Wikipedia says Colonel. I'm going with that. You can look that up and argue it with yourself, Jim, but I'm going by what Wikipedia has there. So the answer's there. Leningrad/St. Petersburg, 71 years old. Colonel, somewhere between 73.6 and 79.7. And 2017, that's right. There's 5 points up for grab there about Vlad. And finally, these pictures. Did I show you these pictures? Quick answer. Did I show you these pictures? Waits. I have the sneaking suspicion I did not show you these pictures. This is question 25, and I think I got carried away with going into the platypus round. But I have the sneaking suspicion I did not show you the World Affairs pictures, question 25. Did anyone ask me that? Oh, I did ask you that. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, that's when I went to the loo. So that's why I can't remember it. Lovely. Okay, on the left there, a point for each of these names. On the left, that is Cyril Ramaphosa, President of South Africa. That is Cyril Ramaphosa, President of South Africa. You get half a point for saying President of South Africa. In the middle, that is Alice Walton. She is one of the founders of Walmart. She is the third richest woman in the world, according to Forbes magazine. And indeed, Gina Rinehart, if you're wondering, Australia's Gina Rinehart is at number 8 on the Forbes richest women list. What will I give you? I'll give you the full point for Alice Walton. I'll give you half a point for one of the Walmart people because it's a whole family thing. And then on the right, that is Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales. Prince William's chick, lady friend, wife, princess. So Cyril Ramaphosa, Alice Walton and Kate Middleton, or the Princess of Wales for the full point, and President of South Africa or Walmart. Anyway, a point each, half a point if you got it, each one half right. Okay, I think that's sufficient. Now on to the platypus round. Yeah, this is kind of a bit. Ah! Oh, you saw some magic then, didn't you? Okay, question 26. There are 3 points up for grabs here. The Hills Shire, the Hills Shire Council or the Hills District is where the platypus was discovered. For another point, more specifically, Cat-Eye or Cat-Eye Creek, C-A-T-T-A-I. Yeah, Mick Fong's right. I should have said Princess Catherine before. And the last time a healthy platypus was confirmed living in a Sydney urban waterway was 1998. So 3 points here. The Hills Shire Council, brackets the Hills Shire, the Hills District, etc. Cat-Eye or Cat-Eye Creek, and 1988. If anyone gets like 4 points in this section, I'll be amazed. Okay, question 27. The man got on the train at Morayfield. It's not even a place. I'll give you half a point if you said some shithole in Brisbane. Got on at Morayfield for the point. The next point, what did the police minister name the platypus? He named it Peter. Peter the platypus. Point for that. And the third point, the maximum fine for taking a platypus from from the wild as stipulated by Queensland's Nature Conservation Act to the nearest $10,000 is $430,000. Yes, if you quote rescue unquote a platypus Queensland, you are up for a fine of up to $430,000. Okay, question 28. I'm going to zoom through these. There are 3 points here again. The answers that get you the 3 points are A, University of New South Wales, B, 9. There were 9 platypus released into the wild, and C, 5 female, 4 male. So, for question 28 again, your 3 points available are University of New South Wales, 9, and 5 female to 4 male. Anyone doing abysmally in this part? Yeah, that basically happens. This is a shit section of it. It's really hard. It's more about education, about platypus news than about any of you cunts having fun. But here we are. Sorry, there I am. Hello, up there. Question 29. I won't tell you the story about the woman who got stung by a platypus. The thing you need are nerve blockers, are the class of drugs you need. If there are any scientists listening and know that there's a fancy name for nerve blockers, yeah, you get a point for that. That is the only thing that will stop the platypus pain. Ask me about it. I go to lunch with him from time to time. And the only safe way to pick up a platypus is by the tail, is the other point. If you hold it by its tail, it goes... I haven't tried that. Ruins lunch. But there you go. Nerve blockers and by the tail is 2 points up for grabs there. And question 30, the retailer Platypus Shoes, the milestone they reached is they now have 200 stores in South Australia. I was about to say South Australia and the Northern Territory. No, 200 stores in Australia and New Zealand. So that's all of the carry on there. You add up your scores. I'm going to go for a quick drink break. There's 35 points available in part 2, so there's 30 points in part 1, 35 points in part 2. The total so far is out of 65 points. Just stick it in the chat. I'm shunning into the side of a microphone here, which means it's not there. Where is the... I need to plug this. This is so professional, isn't it? This is just solid stuff. Where the is it? Oh, God. I can't find the thing to plug my lavalier mic in. I'll just have to... I could just use this microphone. Oh, I really want to find it though. Anyway, how did your scores go? Avocado, 33 out of 65. That's good. Chris Roberts, 10.75. I assume that's just for part 2 out of 30, which is still pretty good. I've nearly found the thing. So I would like you, if you're listening, just tell the platypus. There you go, done. Tell the platypus what you think of him. He'd love to hear that. Did you get the sight lines right? I put the camera there. It's up there. Okay. Thank you to everyone, by the way, who supports my stupid things. That camera and various things, including that screen there, were funded by you in the very early part of 2023 during the 9 p.m. hardware refresh when I got new laptop. Whole thing. Lovely. Thank you. I'll do that. Right, I should get on with part 3, shouldn't I? Yep. I didn't even time to add soda. It's just straight whiskey now. Bourbon, which is American whiskey. Okay. Right, kids, are we ready? Let's rock and roll. We are in part 3, 15 questions to go. I'm going to power through these because some of you may need to go to bed. Question 31. These next 5 questions are about geography. Okay. Let me just make sure I've got the images of part 3 up, and I have. Question 31. Which is furthest east? Kherson in Ukraine or Gaza City in currently under discussion? Both places very much in the news this year. Kherson in Ukraine and Gaza City in, in the thing. Which of them is furthest east? Okay. That's question 31. There's only a point in it. Question 32. How many countries have territorial claims in the South China Sea? Just a point here. Just want the number of countries. I'm not going to ask you to name them. But how many countries have territorial claims in the South China Sea? Give you a clue. People's Republic of China is one of them. That's question 32. Question 33. List all of the countries that start with the letter K. There's a point for everyone you know. And I will say that for any countries that are called, for example, North Country, then if the country starts with a K, then you can count that as country, comma, North. Know where I'm going with that? Countries that start with the letter K. So if the question was how many start with G, and the question was from 1985, then you could say Germany, comma, East and Germany, comma, West. But today we're asking about countries starting with the letter K. I want you to name all of them in the world. And there's a point for each. And there is also another point available if you tell me how many countries there are starting with the letter K in Africa. If you're extremely online or listen to my podcast, you will already know the answer to that, and you'll also already know the trick answer. I will accept either. You will know. We'll get there. So list all of the countries that start with the letter K in the world. In the world. Oh, Avocado wants to know whether he can have Kingdom, United. No, no, you can't. Nor, Snarky Platypus, can you have Canada with a K. Because otherwise we could have Mexico. Kilimanjaro's correct though. Yeah, that's the one in Africa. Okay, all the countries starting with the letter K, 1 point each. That's question 33. Question 34, there's 2 points here. In which continent would you find the Sahel region, S-A-H-E-L? And for another point, why are people leaving there? Where is the Sahel? Broadly speaking, which continent? And why are people leaving there? That's question 34. Oh, Chris Roberts, that's really good. Will you accept Kitts, Saint and Nevis? No. No, I will not. I will say countries starting with the letter K according to the Encyclopedia Britannica. I don't know why I picked them. Well, I do. It came up first to search. 34 is the Sahel and why are people leaving there. And 35, I know some of you have been waiting for this. It's the infamous map question. And I'm recycling it. You've done this one before. This is a rundown Eastern Europa. So basically, as you can see, I've numbered a bunch of countries going down East Europe. I'm going to read out the names of 5 of them, and you need to write down the numbers that correspond with the country names I name. So I'm going to name 5, and you're going to write down the numbers. Okay? Really easy, really easy. And those countries are A, Latvia. B, North Macedonia. C, Moldova. That is Moldova. D, Bulgaria. And E, Ukraine. Okay, I'll run through them again. A is Latvia. B is North Macedonia. C is Moldova. D is Bulgaria. And E is Ukraine. And quite frankly, if you don't know Ukraine by now, then you are a blight on the face of the earth. I mean, not to be judgmental, obviously. I'll leave that on screen for a moment while I move on to the next round, which is 5 questions on another topic chosen by me. Well, all the topics are chosen by me except the platypus round, and I choose that it's a platypus round. But the next 5 questions are going to be about food and drink. Okay? Question 36. I'm going to list some things, and you're going to tell me what they all are. What category are these in? Bilo, red menudo, salmorejo, and snert. Love snert. They're all kinds of what? If you say food, I will just mock you. A particular kind of food. Bilo, red menudo, salmorejo, and snert are all kinds of what? Question 37. A multiple choice question. Who invented the Bloody Mary, that most famous breakfast cocktail? Was it, you know, a Bloody Mary? It's vodka, it's tomato juice, it's spices, it's a stick of celery, it's stuff. Okay. Fucking excellent. Who invented Bloody Mary? Was it A, Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, for the Great Exhibition at the Crystal Palace in 1851? Was it B, Fernand Petiot in 1921 at the New York Bar in Paris? Or was it C, we don't actually know for sure, but the first mention of a Bloody Mary was in a newspaper in Wisconsin called the Waukesha Plain Dealer in 1870. So, who invented the Bloody Mary? Was it A, Prince Albert, B, Fernand Petiot, or C, don't know, but someone in Wisconsin, maybe? Okay, I'll really look at, like, I quite like that. Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, for the Great Exhibition at the Crystal Palace in London in 1851. Fernand Petiot in 1921 at the New York Bar in Paris, which later was called Harry's New York Bar in Paris, or Harry's Bar in Paris. And C, it's mentioned in the Waukesha Plain Dealer in Wisconsin in 1870. A, B, C. There you go. 1 point for that. Question 38. I'm now going to make 4 statements about carrots. And you just have to write down true or false for each one. You know what a carrot is. I'm not going to ask any dirty questions. It is carrots, right? So, question 38. A, the wild ancestors of carrots probably came from Persia, regions of which are now in Iran and Afghanistan. So, did carrots come from Persia? True or false? B, the orange carrot was created by the Dutch. Well, they've got to be good for something, right? C, over 44% of the world's carrots and turnips are grown in China. The reason I've lumped turnips in there as well is because the United Nations statistics lump carrots and turnips together, presumably as, well, they're all related, aren't they, in a strange kind of way. But C, over 44% of the world's carrots and turnips are grown in China. And D, if you eat way too many carrots, your skin will turn orange. So, true or false, these things, the wild ancestors of carrots came from Persia, the orange carrot was created by the Dutch, over 44% of the world's carrots, brackets, and turnips come from China, or are grown in China, I should say, and D, if you eat too many carrots, your skin will turn orange. There's 4 points available there. Question 39. Is China currently importing Australian lobster, or is it still banned? You might remember there's been a bit of a trade dispute with China thanks to our previous national government. And barley was blocked, wine was blocked, lobsters were blocked. The question is, are lobsters still blocked? Easy question. That's question 39. And question 40 is a picture round. What are these things? They're all types of food. Names, please. Bryn, if you are having a snurt right now, given that we know it's a type of food, I want to know what it tastes like. Okay, there's some things on the screen there. They're all types of food or food products. I would like to know their names, please. I can hear thunder outside. You can't because I'm using proper microphone technique. But there is thunder outside. That's a thing for people who, you know, if you do podcasts or videos or whatever, don't talk about, oh, sorry about the thing in the background. No one could hear it. You know, don't stop apologising. Stop apologising that, oh, I'm sorry for bad throat today, or I'm sorry that this and I'm sorry that. Just don't draw attention to it. You know, I mean, I know I did that earlier with all the problems I had, but you know, I'm just so fucking professional. Okay, what are those things? Question 40, that is. I want those 3 things to be named. Right. And now, the final 5 questions. Are you ready? I hope so, because I'm going to read them to you. Question 41. There's 2 parts. What was Australia's word of the year as chosen by the Macquarie Dictionary crew? So there are other word of the year things. The Australian National Dictionary Centre does one, and various people do word of the year. I specifically want, because I'm a fan of their work, the Macquarie Dictionary. What was Australia's word of the year for 2023? And what was the people's choice? So they published a shortlist and there was voting, and the Macquarie Dictionary's panel chose a word of the year, and the people chose a word of the year. And they're not the same. What were they? 1 point each. Question 42. Philip Lowe, L-O-W-E. What was his job until September this year? Philip Lowe. Philip spelt how Philip is spelt. Lowe, L-O-W-E. What was his job? He moved on from that job in September. What was his job? So I'm just looking at it. I need to. Okay, my problem here. Let's see what I've done. Oh no, there it is. Right. I'm using some different setups for the streaming here than I've done in the past, and I have learned the hard way that I need to do something better here. Okay, question 43. Floris Wyatt is an anagram of someone's name in the news very much this year. Who? Who is Floris Wyatt? It's an anagram. You can see it on your screen now. Unless you have a vision problem, in which case you can't. And I'm terribly sorry because there's picture questions in this quiz, and it's really not for you. As an aside, it's started raining quite full on in Wentworth Falls here at the moment. Yeah, it will be for a while. Okay, that's good. We expected that to happen. Again, as I say, you probably can't see it, but if you're down in Sydney, yeah, you're going to get some rain soon. Okay, Floris Wyatt, that's question 43. Who's that? Question 44 is always, what city is this? So what city is that? I mean, I'll narrow it down by saying it's been in the news this year, but then pretty much every city has been in the news this year, right? So there's a city. What city is that? And while that's there, I'll move on to the final question. Question 45, the 2-point finale. It's a 2-point finale because making it 2 points means that we round out the entire thing to 100 points for the whole quiz. So question 45, who or what or where is Talisman Sabre, or the Talisman Sabre, or a Talisman Sabre, or Mr. or Ms. Talisman Sabre? Is Talisman Sabre A, the largest bilateral military exercise between Australia and the United States, with multinational participation, advancing a free and open Indo-Pacific by strengthening relationships and interoperability among key allies? Or is Talisman Sabre B, a ceremonial sword usually borne by the commander of the Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment in the UK? That regiment was only formed in 1945, curiously, but the talisman sabre formed part of the ceremony for the coronation of King Charles III, along with the sword of spiritual justice and the sword of temporal justice. So is the talisman sabre that? Or C, is Talisman Sabre the latest software system supporting the Sabre Corporation, which is a travel technology company originally founded in 1960 by American Airlines, and over the years their systems have been called Sage Sabre, Oracle Sabre, Emerald Sabre, and now Talisman Sabre. Bren, you're right, this is not only good snert weather, this is excellent snert weather. So that's probably enough of that random city, which I cannot possibly name, on the screen. Let's roll back to the beginning of part 3 and see what we've got. Are you ready to score? You are. Question 31. Okay, here we go. Question 31, which is furthest east? The answer is, or further east, because there was only 2 things I named. The answer is Gaza City, but not by a lot. Gaza City is 34 degrees 27 east. Kerzod is 32 degrees 37 east. So 1 point for Gaza City. Question 32, how many countries have territorial claims? I shouldn't go so fast. On the South China Sea. The answer is 6. If your answer was 6, you get 1 point. Those countries are Brunei, Malaysia, PRC, Philippines, Republic of China, and Vietnam. So question 32, the answer is 6, 1 point. Question 33, list all the countries that start with the letter K. There are 8 of them. Yeah, there's 8 points up for grabs here. The ones you want are, in alphabetical order, Kazakhstan, Kenya, Kiribati, Korea, North, Korea, South, Kosovo, Kuwait, and Kyrgyzstan. I'll read them again. There's 8 of them. Kazakhstan, Kenya, Kiribati, Korea, North, Korea, South, Kosovo, Kuwait, and Kyrgyzstan. So there's 8 points available there. The 9th point was how many of them are in Africa, and the answer is either, and you get a point for either way here, 1, Kenya. If you said one of them is in Africa, which is Kenya, a point. If you said none of them, because that's what Bing search says, you would also get a point. It's either 0 or 1. Look it up. It's a whole thing to do with dodgy AI. Anyway, there's a total of 9 points available there. You got up to 8 points for the 8 countries and 1 point more if you said either 0 or 1. Okay, question 34. In which country would you find the Sahel region? The answer is Africa for a point. And there it is. That's the Sahel. It's not a country thing. It's the savanna grasslands between the Sahara Desert, above that to the north, and below that you start getting into, forest and jungle and all that shit. So the savanna grasslands, known as the Sahel, is in Africa. There's a point for saying Africa. And the other reason why people are leaving is, well, climate change. It's either droughts or floods. You get a point for saying climate change, or droughts, or floods, or potentially it's do I want to give a point for it's a shithole? I'll give you half a point if you just said it's a shithole or somewhere equivalent, because probably it's really nice, except that climate change is fucking it up. That was question 34. Question 35 was the map question, and so here we go. The numbers you want are Latvia is number 2. Yeah? North Macedonia is number 9. Number 9. Moldova is number 6. Bulgaria is number 8. And Ukraine is, of course, number 5. Yeah? So the numbers you need to have written down, 1 point for each, are 2, 9, 6, 8, and 5. Dr. Ms. Cat asked about the Sahel. The answer is because it's fucking dry. Yeah, I'll give you a point for that. Drought. Yeah, although they've had floods lately, of course they have. I mean, like Australia, right? It's either drought or it's floods. And for those of you who just need the run through from the top, okay, the numbers again, just in case you had a drop out, are 2, 9, 6, 8, and 5. And running from the top down, 1 is Estonia, 2 is Latvia, 3 is Lithuania, 4 is Belarus, 5 Ukraine, 6 Moldova, 7 Romania, 8 Bulgaria, and 9 North Macedonia. And as Bren said, and the Powerball is Estonia. This is so silly. All right, we're still going on here. I mean, this is what we do. Okay, round 8. Let's 6 seconds. Food and drink, the next round. Okay, bilo, red menudo, salmorejo, and snert are all kinds of soup. The word I want is soup, or an equivalent word. You can argue about that in the chat, but soup is the answer to question 36 for 1 point. Who invented the Bloody Mary? The answer is B, Ferdinand Petiot in 1921 in the New York bar in Paris. Question A, Victoria's husband, all that. No, I just made that shit up. Prince Albert was the driving force behind the Great Exhibition at the Crystal Palace in 1851. Nothing to do with Bloody Marys. And C, there was a mention in 1870 of a new cocktail in the Wisconsin newspaper known as the Waukesha Plain Dealer, but that's the whiskey sour from 1871 in Wisconsin. So C, no, C. B, Ferdinand Petiot for the point. Mr. Avocado notes that anything is a soup if you put it in a blender, but yes, you know, everything is a bicycle if you put 2 wheels on it. That's a very bad callback, I know. Question 38. I made 4 statements about carrots. You will get 4 points if you said true, 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 true. Everything I said there about carrots is true. The ancestors of carrots probably came from Persia. The orange carrot was created by the Dutch, although, yeah, there were orange carrots before that, but the Dutch breeders made it. Dutch breeders, good heavens, I think I was at that party. Dutch breeders was not a stable variety until the Dutch bred a cultivar of the carrot called the long orange at the turn of the 18th century. 44% of the world's carrots and turnips come from China. True. And if you eat too many carrots, your skin will indeed go yellow-orange. It's called carotenemia. They're up all night thinking of that. Okay, they're all true. 4 points if you said they're all true. Relevant number of points for those you said were true. Question 39 is China currently importing lobster? The answer is no for the point. No. Only 2 days ago, our Trade Minister Don Farrell said he expects China's restrictions on Australian wine and lobster and stuff to be lifted earlier in the new year. But no, not yet. No, China is not importing Australian lobster at the moment. So happy Christmas, everyone. Lobster it up. Get those crustaceans down your throat. And the picture round, number 40, let's bring it up on here. Okay, from left to right. I don't want to think about Dutch breeders. Left to right. On the left, for a point, that is a daikon or mooli. For half a point, I'll accept Japanese radish. I think you really need to know it's called a daikon. It's a Japanese radish, that's half a point. In the middle, they're olives. Not a trick question, they're just olives. So a point for olives. And on the right, that is Romanesco. I will accept Romanesco cauliflower or Romanesco things, but Romanesco is the key thing. It's this weird fucking fractal I think it's called Romanesco broccoli in some places, but Romanesco is the thing. So left to right again, a point each. Daiko or muli, half a point for Japanese radish. Olives or Romanesco, that's the key part, whether you call it a cauliflower or a broccoli or whatever it is. Romanesco is the thing. Enjoying it so far? 5 questions to go. We're going to power through these. I hope you... Let me just listen in. Okay, question 41. Australia's word of the year, according to Macquarie Dictionary, was cosy lives, the cost of living. That's a point. But the people's choice was generative AI. That's the other point. I mean, it just shows that the people are stupid and dull, right? Cosy lives for a point, generative AI for a second point. What was Philip Lowe's job? This is question 42. Philip Lowe was the governor of the Reserve Bank of Australia. He's the one responsible for interest rates, for your mortgage going up. Governor of the Reserve Bank of Australia for 1 point. Okay, what is an anagram of Floris White? Fiona White, where do we go? Okay, the answer is Taylor Swift. I didn't prepare a graphic for that, but Taylor Swift is the answer for a point. She has been in the news rather a lot, hasn't she? Which city is this? Question 44. That is Dubai. Dubai, that's where... I thought, given that that's where COP28 was, that you would all have seen pictures of it and would have known that that was Dubai. So there you go. And the final one, the answer is B. No, A. A. The answer is A. The Talisman Sabre is indeed the largest bilateral military exercise between Australia and the United States. They changed the spelling of sabre, S-A-B-R-E or S-A-B-E-R, because Australia and the United States alternate between who is running it. Anyway, it's a big exercise. They have other people in it, and indeed, it's advancing a free and open Indo-Pacific by strengthening relationships. Blah 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 blah. In response to the other questions, B, the ceremonial sword. No, I just made that shit up. The Household Cavalry Mounted Regiment was indeed formed in 1945. There is indeed stuff in the coronation of King Charles III called the Sword of Spiritual Justice and the Sword of Temporal Justice, but I just made up the other shit. And C, Sabre Corporation is indeed the world's largest airline ticketing system and was founded in 1960. I had hoped to draw you into a trap because Sabre was created back in like 1960. It went live, but it was created just before that because on an American Airlines flight, the boss of American Airlines happened to be sitting next to a guy from IBM who was involved in the creation of the SAGE system, which was used to vector interceptors onto incoming Soviet nuclear bombers and shit during the early stages of the Cold War. And they said, wow, we have this thing for automatically, coordinating aircraft called SAGE. And then American Airlines said, we need that. And theirs was called Sabre. So I was hoping that calling something SAGE Sabre would lead you ashtray. And Oracle Sabre I just made up, but I thought, yeah, people have heard of Oracle and Emerald Sabre and Taliban. No, that was all bullshit. So I just made that shit up. So that's the final one. There's 35 points available in part 3. So it's 30 plus 35 plus 35. Your total score, which you will probably put in the chat now, which would be lovely, is out of 100 points. That's fantastic. While you're doing that, I'll remind you again, if you've enjoyed this, if you just want to chuck in a $5 or $10 at stilgherrian.com/tip, it's on your screen now. It takes me basically the whole day to put this together. I would probably spend less time if I didn't create graphics and have picture questions and all of that. But I think that's part of the fun, right? And I'll remind you again, out of 100 points, if you get anything over about 40 points in this, particularly with the platypus questions this week, you're doing well. You're doing really well to get up there. Bren's got 23. Yeah. Oh, no, 23 from that. 48.75 all up. That's good. Harada Syme, 43.5 in total. Chris Roberts, 41.5, 43.5, me and mine. Look, I won't read them all out. Even if you look at the replay, you'll see the scores there. That's fantastic. What I will say is the next one, we're going to do another of these. The 8 p.m. Quiz of the Year 2023 Part 2 is Thursday week. That's Thursday after Christmas, the 28th of December, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So I'll put that up on the YouTube pretty much as soon as I've finished this one. That'll be ready to rock and roll. You can, subscribe, all that shit. And look for the 9 p.m. Edict in your podcast app of choice. We've done some great episodes as part of the summer series, and that's down to you. You funded that. You paid for me to survive while I did a great one with Dr. Trent Yarwood. We talked about infectious diseases, as we do, but some great stuff. And the latest was with author and columnist and all-round chap John Birmingham. That one went live too. There's stuff in there about chia seeds. I don't know why. And the one coming up, this Friday coming up, I've already recorded it, but it's about space. It's about the year in space with Dr. Alice Gorman, Dr. Space Junk from Flinders University, and astrophysicist Rami Mandow, who you may know on the socials as Cosmic Rami. That's going to be a really fun one too. And Snarky Platypus, he's on the chat. We're going to record an episode together next week after Christmas, looking back at the year while we're having a drink. If you are a supporter with trigger words or a conversation topic for that, get them to me by, what's Tuesday? Tuesday the 26th of December by 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Australian Eastern Daylight Time, not the American one. It's not even a thing at this time of year. Get that to me. We're going to record that. That'll be fun. That won't count towards the summer series total and all that bullshit. Hi, Kimberly. And I think that's it. I'm now seeing that there's going to be really heavy rain in 13 minutes. So I'm looking at your scores. I love it. I love you heaps. I really need to have another piss. I need to sort that out. So thank you. Go to the 9pmedict.com/tip and we will do all of those things. And I'll see you, find the keys, next Thursday. Bye, kids.
The 8 p.m. quiz is a Skank Media production. Sorry.